Looking beautiful. Hello, everyone. My name is Arthur Brown, the host of No Back Talk series. Thank you for joining me today. I have the privilege of hosting this special live Q&A virtual book launch produced by Nicky Narratives and No Holdbacks TV in association with Iran Network. Today we will all be talking with the founder of Nicky Narratives and first-time author Nikki Brown about her memoir, These Tears Don't Go With My Combat Boots, a book for women who are battling trauma. So without further ado, I'm proud to introduce daughter, my sister, mother, military vet, survivor, and advocate, Nikki Brown. This show is going to be a lot different than what most people know. We have on this show no holdbacks. So do a little sippy sip now and then. Got a little sippy sip. Okay. It's first. Yes, let's make a toast. To a great show until your success of your book.
Thank you.
Hmm. We're not going to say what we're drinking because they're not paying us yet. So we don't do free advertisement. We don't do that. We don't do that. First, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you? That's the
Happy
first
to be
question I
here.
like to ask after reading a book like that. How are you personally?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm blessed and highly favored
And as our mom would say, and deeply loved.
and deeply loved indeed.
So the first thing I want to ask you, what made you write this book?
Um, I was in a good space to put my feelings on paper. Um, when I retired from the military, it gave me a lot of time to reflect on 20 plus years of being in the military. And part of that period was being a wife and a mother. Uh, After being diagnosed with PTSD, I thought it was important for me to put those feelings on paper and get that stuff out. And in the midst of doing that, the book came about. And I'm so excited and happy that people are reading it.
Yes.
I've sold almost 200 copies since March.
Yes. We want to do
And
snaps and
so,
claps.
I feel very blessed that people even want to read it, let alone talk about it.
Of course. I'm reading that book, that transition of military. First, thank you for your service. Let me say that.
Thank you.
26 years. A lot of people don't know that. And I constantly say that. And she doesn't want me to talk about
Everywhere we
it.
go, everywhere we go.
And it's because she's a retired senior master sergeant, and we are very proud of that. 26 years is a long time to be in the service, but you were working before that from 13, no, from 14 years old on. So that's a lot of years of working straight.
Yeah, you reminded me of that. You were like, no, you haven't just been working 26 years. You've been working since you were 14 years old. I'm like, dang, I forgot.
Yeah,
But
which
yes,
inspired
I
me.
was 14 years old. Hmm.
Inspire others. Go get that check. Go get that check as a teenager. Get it. Start that W-2 early. work on work on that plan. One thing I want to ask you, which before I go further, let everyone know, all those who have questions, this is a Q&A. We definitely going to take your questions in a bit. So this type of questions, don't think we don't see it, but it will be introducing that later on. But do type of questions in now. Shout out to Logic for holding everything down for us, producing the show with Iran. But for right now, we're going to talk a little bit about the book and the process of everything.
Okay.
Because everything is a process. But first, I want to let everybody know none of your family knew about this book.
No.
As far as in even the details in the book. Not
Right.
let me break that down. Not our parents, not our siblings, not aunts, uncles, cousins. No one knew anything inside the book except for the characters who were in the book knew what happened to you. So talk to me about that process of writing that, knowing that people might have feelings of after they read the book.
Well, for me, in the space where I was writing, I wasn't thinking about anyone else because it was about my transition, my transformation from that part of my life until now. And I feel like it's very important when you are trying to work on something that it doesn't really take everyone to be involved. It's your dream, it's your
Mhm.
aspiration. And so I didn't need a vote of whether I should write or not because I was going to do it anyway.
Mhm.
And I kind of was raised that way anyway. We were raised that
Yes,
way anyway.
definitely.
But the journey was so intimate. I didn't want to tainted with anyone else's feelings and emotions. But with that said, there were, I want to correct, there were a couple of people um, that read it along the way, which was important to me because even though I feel like I have a story to tell, I wanted to see what the reaction would be if this is something that I should put out or just something that I write in a diary. And as I wrote it, I had two friends of mine from two different coasts read it, and each chapter they told me their emotions and their feelings, and I said, okay, I'm on the right track with putting this book out.
Wow, that's incredible. But what's different with you and a lot of other authors that people don't know is you wrote this, you're retired. You don't need a check.
No,
This is not something you're like, oh my gosh, I need this income. So you're not pushing like to people like, oh my gosh, this has to happen.
right.
So you was able to do a process with it as
Hmm.
far as in take your time.
Yeah,
Did you
it was
think,
a year. Yeah, it took a year. It was December of 2021 that one of my sorority sisters, Caprice James, connected me with Miss Pender James. She's a scribe coach to help me with the process. And my first initial
wow,
conversation with her, I fell in love with her. I felt emotional. I felt a connection. And once we talked and we agreed that this journey we're going to go together down this path from January until yeah, it was a whole year. So all of last year I was writing, going through the process, going back in time with emotions and feelings and grudging up old memories. But um, yeah, it wasn't overnight. It wasn't 2 or 3 months. It was a year because I wanted to make sure that the book was inspirational and impactful at the same time.
and that it was. I read the book. Let me just show y'all this. This is amazing. I know you can see in the background, but as a sister, I bought more than one.
Yes, you did. I appreciate it.
I had to buy my 5 copies. Let everybody know I am down with team support always.
Yes, I appreciate
Um,
you, sis.
and as speaking of team support, we have B Bad, our other sister who's into movies and stuff. That's definitely in the room with us. Shout out to her.
Hey, sis.
Um, yes, he says it takes a support system to do anything. So another question I have for you is the fact of when you was writing this book, life still was going on
Correct.
because you also have a son
Correct.
and you also have siblings. And most people don't know, our father had passed away a year before that.
Hmm.
So going through that and dealing with emotions with family and helping us out and dealing with everything with the planning of closing the states and everything, how was you able to separate and still concentrate on doing this book?
So I don't know if I was doing it beforehand, but being in the military, I learned to compartmentalize
Mm,
and prioritize the things I needed to do each day. In retirement, what I've learned to do is take it day by day. So, uh, the journey that I was on with Miss Pender James, I'm going to keep putting her name out there. We had a schedule of things that we were going to do regardless. And
hmm.
sometimes the schedule was, sometimes we were on schedule and sometimes we were not, but she kept me on path. So that part was taken care of.
Okay.
As far as family and my son, these are things that I've been doing all along, except for the passing of our dad. That
Yeah.
was, introduced to what I've already been doing, but everything has been a labor of love. So it wasn't like I felt like I was taking from one from another. It was just a labor of love, no matter what I did. And the fact that I'm retired just allowed me the autonomy to move around when I needed to.
Wow. That's incredible. Prioritizing and having a team is important. Did you know exactly the amount of people you would need to make this happen?
No, I just
He's
no, no,
like, I'm gonna write a book. I call one
no,
person, and
no,
then this
no,
person told me this person. Like,
no, no, no. I have this thing about when I have uh, uh, if there's something that I want to accomplish, I go to who I feel like are experts in that field. And
mm,
my squad coach was the expert in the field. And so I didn't really feel the need to have a whole team of experts. I just needed the one. And really, it was my story. So she was guiding me along the way. And that's all I needed.
mm-hmm,
And all she said, just write, just write. That's all you need to do. Just write. You don't need anything additional. Just write. And so that's what I did. And with each chapter, I would send it to her. We would make time to go over it. We didn't do a lot of editing at first because I needed to get the story out, however
mm.
it came out. And then we went back into the editing and everything we need to do to make the book presentable.
Did it take you on a like emotional roller coaster? Because for like even for anyone, like even when I have to, me personally, which most people don't know, you're great in writing and helping because those who know me and know me from work, my emails was ridiculous. It's a
Mm,
little bit just
mm,
like how I am, a little long
mm.
winded, but
Yes.
little extra words I could have left out. You
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
I have graduated of the school of Nicky narratives that have helped me change the way I do emails. Um, how was that for you?
In regards to writing,
Yeah, going through that emotion, like going through it,
writing
right?
emotional, right?
Yeah, because
An emotional roller coaster. Yes. So there were some parts of the book that brought great memories, and there's a chapter or two or three that I did have to go sit in that pain a little bit, but
mm,
I'm a different person than I was back then, right? So back then, when I'm going through it, I didn't tell people what was going on with me, and I feel like over the years I grew an armor, if you will. And so
mm-hmm,
when it was time to write the book, even though I went back in time, I'm not that same person. I'm a much stronger person. Yes, I
facts.
feel it, and yes, I have all the memories like it was yesterday, but I'm a much stronger person. So I was able to go back and do what I needed to do to bring it forward.
Wow, that's incredible. So my other question to you, the characters. I know people who read the book, they're like, "Hey, that that sounds like that could be me."
Right. The
Um,
people that know who they are in that book.
and
Uh,
anyone from that book, did have you talked with and connected with, and y'all discussed the book?
Yes, my best friend is in the book. I actually called her and, let her know what was going on. I actually had a phone call a couple of days ago, which was emotional for me. There's a character in the book that was a part, it was like a thread in the book, so to speak. And he
Mm-hmm.
passed away.
Yes.
His mother bought the book, and a couple of days ago,
Wow.
she called me to let me know that she read the book and that she really appreciated me honoring her son. And so
Mm,
that meant the world to me because I didn't know how she was going to take it. I mean, I wrote what happened, everything that
yeah.
happened from our first encounter to our last encounter. I mean, I wrote as is. I didn't filter anything because it was very important for me to be very transparent and with my feelings and emotions. And when she was talking to me, she was getting emotional as she was speaking to me, and I just felt
Mm.
honored. If no one read the book, and she was the only one, that meant the world to me.
But that would have been impossible.
I know. I'm just saying,
I know.
because you never
I
know
know.
what people are going to think and feel. But I could not like write this book during that time and act like you know he didn't exist. So
Yeah.
when I wrote it, uh, it was a voice in the back of my mind, like, man, I hope she's okay. I hope that she doesn't feel any negative feelings about it. But when she gave me that call, and I was like, oh, thank you, God, because I wouldn't want anyone to feel negative after
Yes,
reading it. But when she said, thank you for honoring her son, that just meant the world to me.
of course. Like I can't even imagine, but we're very happy that she was receptive of it and
Hmm.
she felt honored.
Hmm.
Was there any emotional ties afterwards that you still have with the book, with the characters?
No, I don't have. Well,
She's like,
no,
"None."
because that was a different period in time. So we are in 2023. That period of time was back in early 2000s. So
Mhm.
while I had a journey in my personal life as well as military, it was a lot of growth in between. And after I retired and the military gave me a diagnosis, I did some extensive therapy, and that therapy and the journey just allowed me to be where I'm at today. So again, me going back in time and being triggered, I don't have that. I'm a stronger person now.
Indeed. Do you think you would have did that therapy if you was still in the military?
Absolutely not. I didn't have time.
Mm,
Yeah, I didn't have time. I had a son to raise and a career to cultivate. So I one, I didn't even think there was anything going on with me, right? So
gotcha.
yeah, so I'm working 12, 16 hours a day, and then have a son that is very active in sports, and somehow trying to balance that with my any type of personal life. I didn't have time to think about my mental health. Now, did I think that I had something going on with me in regards to relationships? Like after a period of time, I just didn't make those connections because what was important to me was raising my son
Mm-hmm.
and going as far as I could in my military career. That was what was important to me. So it wasn't until after I retired and my son is in college doing his thing, and I don't have a job, so to speak. I'm relaxing, but in that time, in that quiet time, in that stillness, is when I realized that I had some personal growth that I needed to do. And again, when the VA came back and said, "Hey, you got some things going on with you." Uh, at that point, I did have emotions and feelings,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't with the character. It was more of me trying to learn how to give myself grace, how to maneuver with this diagnosis, because now I have verbiage to feelings that I didn't know at that time. So that's the only feelings I had was what I was going through in therapy, which was not the characters in the book.
Are you comfortable in talking about what exactly you was diagnosed with?
Yes, I was diagnosed with military sexual trauma, PTSD.
Yes, I just want to make sure everyone knows that,
Hmm.
and it talks about it briefly in about a chapter or two in the book.
Hmm.
What are you looking to give your audience from reading this book?
I want to give them a voice. I believe everyone has a story, and it takes a strong person to open up about things that have gone on with them or continue going on with them. And as transparent as I was in that book, I will tell you that I feel like that's happening. I've gotten messages, long messages, whether it's Facebook, whether it's text message, whether it's Instagram, people telling me how they felt and things that they had been going through, or people that they know, and thanking me for being transparent and asking how can they write their book. They can get their feelings and emotions out, because it's a ministry, right? It's a personal ministry, it's a personal journey. And so that's what I'm getting at. You have to use it. You don't have to write a book. You can write a song and do whatever you want as you find your center. And that's what the book meant for me. It made me find my center so I
Mm-hmm.
can continue a of abundance.
We seem to have a little bit of technical difficulties here. Can you repeat the last statement you said? Because you went a little bit, you're getting frozen.
Oh, oh, that's that to give a may not and transparent. Now we are to more my mental health stuff out that I've had many goals and some it's all sharing and growing together.
But we still seem to have a little bit of technical difficulties. But what we can do at this time, we would love to hear testimonies from different people who've actually read the book and see what they have to say. So get a little book review. This is exciting for me, my first book review reading. So let's watch the book review.
First, I want to say I am very excited that this book has come out. When I tell you, when I first read this book, I was one of the few people who had the opportunity to read it before it came out. And so, what I can definitely say is that you will feel emotions throughout this book. I mean, when I was reading it, I went from happy to sad to mad to angry to happy. I kept going back and forth with all kinds of emotions. And I tell you, it was worth the ride. I am super excited and very, very proud of Nicole. And I hope that everyone enjoys her book as much as I did. Thank you so much.
Why, thank you. Um, that was amazing, and the book to me was definitely amazing. What happened was she's having technical difficulties. I was told the intro wasn't really heard on my part, so I'm get to read the intro again, let everybody know what's going on, and hopefully by then she'll be able to be connected. So just in case you just tune in, my name is Tasha Brown. I'm the host of No Hold Back Talk series. Thank you for joining me. Today, I have the privilege of hosting this special live Q&A and virtual book launch produced by Nicky Narratives and No Hold Back TV in association with IRAD Network. Today, we'll be talking with the founder of Nicky Narratives and the first time author, Nikki Brown, about her memoir, These Tears Don't Go With My Combat Boots, a book for women who are battling trauma. So without further ado, once again, I'm proud to introduce daughter, sister, cousin, friend, aunt, my sister, mother, military veteran, survivor, and advocate, Nikki Brown. I think you fully back now. You're good to go. You're good to go. Welcome back.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So you're gonna have to repeat everything you said the last the last bit. Sorry, your technical difficulties just took you completely out. You was on froze
Okay.
mode.
What my memory is not all that great. Yes, my memory is pretty bad. So what was it? What was the question?
Um, we talked about what you was getting from the book, what you wanted people to get from the book. I think that's the last part I was
Hmm.
able to really hear you. Then you was
Okay.
going in and
Can you
out.
hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. So what you're trying to get, what do you want people to
Okay.
get from this book? You were saying the voice, they have their own voice.
Right. That it's okay to share what is going on with them. I didn't do so back then, but I'm feeling like after I wrote that book that was the journey I had to go on in order to write this book. It didn't feel good at the time. I didn't feel like I had a safe space to say all the things that was going on with me. And I feel like it's just recently, these last couple of years, where mental health is prevalent in our communities now. But back then, especially in the military, to express what is going on with you, it 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 just doesn't fare well. Oh, I didn't feel like I felt safe to. Let me speak for myself. I didn't feel safe to. So now me writing this book, it released that, but also hopefully in this journey, it gave other people, the ability to do the same.
Okay, definitely. I mean, reading that book, it took me. First, it was a good read because I definitely read. Those who know me, I don't. All my Capella people that are in here, and they read books. I don't know how they could read books and be in a full semester of school because that's not me. But when I read that book,
Right.
I was so proud. I read that book like in 3 hours. Like, oh my gosh, I read a book. I was excited. I was amped. But then I'm like, other people like, well, I read like 3 books. I'm like, in school full time? Oh, I need to work on that. But this was definitely, it didn't feel like I was like, oh, when is it going to end? It was, and I'm not just saying
Right.
that because you're my sister. Because we honest in our family. That's something our parents like instilled in us. We're gonna tell you the facts because it's better us than anyone on the
Right.
outside tell us. It was definitely inspiring, and I definitely look forward. Are you thinking about maybe a part two to this book? How are you feeling about? Or you feel like this
So
is this is like MJ concert? This is it.
So for me, I did think about that. I've had a lot of people ask me that, you know, what happens next, with my son, what was it like, to move to Turkey? And I'm going to be honest, I feel like a part two is not needed because that's not what I set out to do. But if I am on an author tour or if someone wants
Mm.
me to come to their reading group after, reading the book, I would gladly ask questions. But I believe that the book ended the way it should. So, so
Mhm.
uh, all the characters can move on, including myself.
Very true. So, do you feel like
Hmm.
this book right here gave you closure, or you
Well,
already
I'm gonna
had
be
closure
honest.
and you wanted to show
Yeah,
people to
I
get
already
how they
had
can
closure.
get closure?
Yeah, I feel like I already had closure.
Okay.
But it was more so me grieving that past, right? Like it happened.
Mm.
These things happened. I had to acknowledge it. I had to give it a voice. I had to give it verbiage. I'm not this thing that happened. This thing happened to me, but for me, it gave me a path to happiness. So,
That's deep. I need you to say it again. Is that something that happened to? I need you to say it again. Say it down. Say it so the
okay.
people in the back, people all around the world can hear it. I know we got people. You have
So this
friends of
thing
different cities.
happened to me, right? So this thing
Mm-hmm.
happened to me,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, it allowed me to have a journey of happiness.
Yes. Preach. Is this say it Sunday? let's get that. Let's get that
Say
preach
it
in.
Sunday. I like
Yes.
that. Say it Sunday. That sounds like a title of a show. Say it Sunday.
Mm. Anybody gets credit for that, we get some money on that. So hit us up.
So silly.
No holdbacks TV and Nikki narratives. We want
Well,
our
let me ask
percentage.
you a question. How did you feel? Because you didn't know anything that went on. You knew I was writing this book, and
Yes.
I said I was doing, and then I was done, and then I sent you the book. Like I didn't tell you anything. I just
Yeah.
sent the book to you.
Um, I was overwhelmed
Mm,
because I felt helpless. Like, Dag, I want to do this, I want to do that, and had I known this, I could have. Like when you love someone, your fam, you want to be there, and it's like, oh, had I known this, then I would have did this, and I would have did that. But all the
mhm.
if ands, woulda, coulda, shoulda, is out the window, and now
Right.
I'm just stuck with this emotion. Like, what do I do? And then I had to come to the realization of you went through it, and I think Monique Monique, you know who you are. I appreciate you, girl. Kisses. Um, because even though some people don't understand, even though if family can't be there, if you're a person that's spiritual or or religious, you know, someone gets sent to you
Yes, I
to
did.
be there. And I feel like Monique was that person
Right,
for you.
right.
I do of course wish I was, but I'm glad she was. I'm glad to see how you flourished from it, the
Me too.
knowledge you gained, and how you was able to show me and our other siblings, like, look, these are things that can happen in life.
Right.
And as you can say, it can happen to you. But it's
Mhm,
what you do with it and how you move on to the next level. Like we was
mhm,
taught that as kids that there's going to be different things, especially because I kind of figured something did happen to
mhm,
you because it's military and you're a black woman in the military
mhm,
in the 90s. This
mm.
is before the
Okay, you don't gotta put the time on it. Goodness gracious.
I still sigh. I still sigh. I still sigh. But we gotta,
Back in the
we being
90s.
transparent. And when's it called?
Yeah,
No
I understand
holdbacks.
that, but we don't
No
have to.
holdbacks.
But yeah, okay. Just keep on. All right, I got it.
My outspokens are used to me being outspoken, with the no holdbacks.
But
Anybody
you're
want to know
right.
what my outspokens are? Those are the fans of the show. This is the first show, but they're going. That's what we're gonna call them from this point on. Outspokens. Thank you very much. But
Right.
yeah, it was inspiring to see that transition of knowing of what happened next and seeing things that happened. And it was also inspiring to see you write the book, knowing you writing a book and still be that older sister to me and to other siblings and to be a mother to your son, especially knowing that all the help we needed, our father passing and um, being a caregiver for our mom. And most people who know me closely know, yeah, I'm the outgoing one. I talk, but I don't really talk. And you got on our phone like, no, talk to me. You gonna talk to me, girl. You gonna talk to me now if I get this
Right.
plane.
Well,
So
I
you
think with
grown.
that, right, with the journey, that's what it allowed me to do, to see people, right? There were
Yes.
people that work with me every single day, right? Or been around me and had no idea, right?
Yeah.
And and I wasn't talking because I didn't feel safe enough to talk. And in my journey, I said that I don't ever want anyone to feel like they're alone.
Mm,
And when we were going through that with our dad, I didn't want you to feel like you were alone. I didn't want anyone to feel alone because I know what that feels like. And so
hmm
that's why it was so important for me to, reach out as much as I can, be there as much as I could be during that time because I know what it's like.
Indeed. Indeed. And you do inspire, not just inspiring with the book. You're inspiring with your Facebook.
Oh, thank
You
you.
do these quotes. Most people don't know. Nikki Narratives have quotes that you do on
Every day,
daily.
every day.
Talk to me about these quotes. What made you do find these memes and be like, today's the day I'm gonna post like
So I think it started some years back. Um, Me finding quotes was, for me, it was like motivating me. So, most people think I'm just putting post stuff. But if I feel it, I feel like someone else is out there needs to hear it. And if it's something that I'm feeling in that moment, I will add to the meme. And I think with social media, there's so much out there that is negative, and if I can be the one light, that every time I go to Nikki's page, she's going to have a quote. And it's not all profound. I'm not like, trying to be, the next profound person to move the world to do anything. There are times I put out like, things from the past, we're talking about our age, bringing back toys from the past. You remember this? Or, you know, um, just little things that is going on with me, because I want people to be happy in such a world that is so bogged down with just, let's just say it, trash. And so if I can provide a light, and every time you go to my page, you're going to get a light. I hope that that's what you see when you go there.
Yeah, I do. I do see it. Sometimes I hit like, I turn around and
Yeah.
make sure that I repost it again. But just to
Hmm.
circle back a little bit, we didn't really touch upon. Tell me more. Tell me in depth about the book itself.
The book itself.
The book itself.
So
And,
the main character is Yolanda,
mm-hmm.
and well, let's first talk about the cover. Um,
Yes.
it was important for me to have the boots. Yes, I was military. However, when you read the book, and I've heard it from different people that are non-military, you can associate it with pretty much anyone. So the boots for me was me going through the dirt, right? The griminess of life, not just the incidents, but just life in general. Balancing being a mother, a wife at the time, and a career woman is a lot in the military. Right? When I came in the military, when I first came in '93, family wasn't something that they preached. I remember I had someone that I knew that was having family problems back in like '93, and the person went to their supervisor, and the supervisor said that has nothing to do with me. The military didn't issue your family. That's for you to deal with.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's the world that I came from. Starting off.
Ooh,
Yeah, military didn't issue you that. We
goodness.
issued you clothes. We issued you, your weapon. We didn't issue you a family.
Mm,
So now in the 2000s, we have transformed quite a bit, and
thank God. My goodness.
we have
This is
transformed quite a
cold.
bit. Yeah, but I mean, the military is not it's not a social,
You're
thing
right.
going on. You're not joining band camp, right?
Yeah,
But
you're right.
the
This ain't
military
did he
has
go get
done.
the cheesecake. This ain't that.
Right. The military has done a much better job with trying to help balance everything. Still got a ways to go, but it's not like it was back in '93, right? So, yeah.
Hmm, okay.
So Yolanda, coming from that, and then Jace was the son, just going through the trials and tribulations of different scenarios of being a mom and a wife and a career person. I don't think that my story is, so profound. It's not a unique one. Just certain aspects of it is unique and how I dealt with it. And like I said, I feel like everyone has a story to tell. I just felt like my story was one that I think that others could benefit from, that can identify with. And so far, I'm getting that feedback, and I'm so appreciative, and I'm so happy that I started the journey writing the book, and the finished product is doing well. So,
Indeed. Indeed.
right. But going back to the cover, I started talking about the boots.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the cover, it also has string of pearls, and the other boot has the dog tags, right? The dog tags
Yes.
let you know that you have gone
Make
through some
sure people
things,
can see
right?
this.
And on the dog tags, it says survivor on it. And I feel like each one of us have survived something. And if you've gone through life and everything has been roses and unicorns, I applaud you. You are a unique individual. But for the majority, the dog tags kind of signifies that, I've been through it. I got the dog tags. We can move on. And the pearls is the softness of me, you know,
Hmm.
um, trying to balance that, not let the trials and the adversity um, uh, darken my heart, darken my emotions and feelings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it was important for me to have the yin and yang, so to speak.
Yes, I see that. I
Hmm.
like. I absolutely. I remember when you showed the cover. I absolutely love this cover. It does. I like how it says survivor, warrior, victor.
Hmm. Right.
Instead of victim, you put victor.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm nobody's victim. You know, I went through something. victorious at the end, you know, and I wanted to make sure that I highlighted that.
And that you did. It's
Thank you.
I can't say enough how much we are all proud of you. When I say we, I know I've seen Be Bad and I've seen Safia in the comments. I've seen different people, and we appreciate Inquire Rochelle. I saw her in here real quick. And Miss Moses. And we all proud, very proud. We have family,
Thank
friends, and IRAD family in here now. We're very proud of what you've done. This is your first author in the family.
Yes.
How does that
Yes.
feel?
You know, when I was writing the book, I wasn't thinking, you know, I'm gonna be the first author. I wasn't thinking that wasn't.
It's
I
gonna be
didn't want
me.
to. But what I will tell you is that when I was talking to mom, in the end, she knew I was writing the book. In the end, she said, "Nikki, you've always been a writer. You've been writing since you were younger." And
Mm-hmm.
she had to remind me of that, and all the diaries that I wrote in that you read and was, you know, behind my back, you know, where I
In
thought I
my
was
defense,
no,
my
there's
no
no.
hold back family. In my defense,
She was
I
nosy
was
back then.
younger,
She was
and
nosy, and she
if you
wanted to
want
know what was
someone
going on.
not to read something, a simple lock that you can
There
get
was a
with
lock. There was a
but
lock.
a simple
Mhm.
lock that you
Mm.
can easily pick with a safety pin is not really locked.
Yeah, that says a lot, doesn't it? It says a lot. But mom had to remind me that that's who you were all along. And
Yeah.
so after writing the book, uh, the process of it all. So that's the thing that I want people. The process of was it was a roller coaster, but I love it so much that I am preparing to start writing more. Not on that extreme. I'm switching gears, and you know that'll be another show for us to talk about. But
Oh.
it has released a creativity in me, and I have the time, and so glad that I got that out. Um,
You're like a bootleg Tommy.
yes.
You ain't got no job. How
So
does it feel to be? Yeah, I'm sorry.
how does it
How
feel
does
to?
it feel to be retired?
You know, I'll
To
be
be
honest,
young?
definitely a transition. Yeah, it's definitely a transition. A lot of people think, well, you know, you got it good. You know, you don't have to do this and you have to do that. But it's a transition because, as you stated, being in the military for 26 years, that's an institution, right? We have our own community. We have our own way of life. You know, I deployed a
Mm-hmm.
couple of times. There are a lot of things about me that only other military people know. And so to transition back into the rest of the world, right? Because they say it's only 1% of individuals serve in the military. So that's a small, even though you see all these people walking around thanking people for their service, it's a very small percentage that serve in the military. And for me, me trying to find my footing, it took some time. It took some time, and I'm still learning how to do the life balance. But it wasn't as easy. Just take the uniform off and you're ready to go. Like it didn't happen that way. You know, the emotions. You know, even me going to the store, like I can't do lines. Like I'm like, why can't we move faster? Like, you know, because that's the military way. Like always on the go, and to realize everybody's not going to move like you, Nicole. Everybody's not. Everybody's not. Everybody's not doing a lot of things. And so it was a transition for me.
Yes.
But I'm in a much better space. I retired in 2019. And so I'm in a much better space.
Yes. Thank you for your service.
I have, thank you. You know, I have the right people around me to help pour into me, and I pour into them. And so I'm in a great space.
So pouring into, that's something that's so important that people don't understand. As you transition from one like aspect of your life to the next, the amount of people you had to cut off.
Oh goodness.
How did you learn that? Because it was so many things I know personally, because me being your sister, that you had to learn. You know, one story I know that God rest his soul, our dad had to tell you how to quit a job.
Oh yeah,
You
that's the crazy thing. You know,
you didn't know
people
how to
quit
quit.
jobs.
She didn't know how to
No,
quit. Most of us civilians know how, but you never
I didn't
quit
know how to
before.
Right, because I knew that I didn't want to go to corporate America. I didn't have this desire to climb a ladder and start all over again. So I was doing these little jobs, and I had a job at an organization. I loved the people that came in, but I didn't like the people that were in positions of power, so to speak. You know, a lot of cattiness. And so I remember talking to our dad about it, and he said, "Well, why don't you quit?" And I was like, I don't know how to quit. It
I'm
was
sorry,
like,
that's
what?
so funny and cute at the same
I don't know
time.
how to quit. And he was like, oh, baby, I forgot. I taught you not to quit. Right. So how do you, so how do you do that? He said, you just don't show up. And I was like, well, people are gonna be. No one's looking for you, Nicole. No one's gonna come knocking on your door because in the military, you can't do that, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
come to
yeah.
you, and you're in big trouble. Like people come searching for you, right? And he was like, no one's coming for you, Nicole. Just don't show up. You know they'll give you your last check. And I said, well, what about this thing about 2 weeks notice? He said, girl, you retired. I don't even know why you're working. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with myself. He was like, go to the gym or something. Like, you don't need to do this. And I'm like, okay. So that was a transition for me, right? Because it was like I made a commitment to be at this job, and now you're telling me to not be committed anymore, and I didn't know how to do that. But I'm much better now. I'll quit anything now. Like if I don't like it, I'm good to go. I've got a couple of years under my belt. You know, if I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it. If I don't want to talk to you, I'm not talking to you, and I don't feel guilty about it.
Good. How was that relationships? Like the relationship you had in the book, and then coming out of the military, the relationships you had with significant others, family, friends. How has that changed?
It's changed tremendously. I now have a significant other.
Oh yes, I saw it. I saw the chat.
I know that's what we were getting at. I got that. I think this season of transformation, it allowed my heart to open up. It allowed me to be open to new things. And in that space, you know, I met an incredible person that I would say my yin to my yang. He puts up with a lot.
Yes.
As you know, you've been on the phone. But he's a great person. He's a great person. It's also allowed me to look at relationships that were around me that that I felt that drained me, right? Like if I look at the phone and I'm like, oh my God, let me allot 45 minutes. And then I'm like, why am I doing that? Like, why do I let me stop doing that. And in learning, and I won't say cutting people off. I won't say that because what I did was just leave it be, right? Like cutting off sounds like I'm mad and I'm disgruntled, but understanding that there are people that just don't need to come with you in each stage of your life. Like they were meant to be in your life for a certain stage, and it's okay, right? That it is hurtful. What people don't understand is that when you leave these relationships, you also grieve in the process. Not a lot of people talk about that. So yes. This book kind of opened up all kinds of things to me that I just didn't recognize, right? And so that is another thing, you know, understanding that transition, you have to be honest in all circles. So leaving behind relationships, grieving those relationships, but also, you know, being open to new ones. It's all about growth.
You're right. You're right. Definitely right. I wonder, do we have any questions from any of our no hold back
take a drink
family?
Because I don't know what questions we got.
I want to thank Patricia for saying your story is inspiring. Miss Crystal. Crystal says, hi, Miss Crystal. How are you, darling?
Crystal.
So many people are in here. We definitely appreciate. I'm not sure. Maybe we've. Here's Crystal's question: why do your quotes many times start with "Hey, love"?
That's a good question.
Go ahead, Miss Crystal.
Because I want you, if you're reading something from my post, I want you to feel connected to me. Like I'm not throwing a post up there in hopes to start a debate or some emotional. I want you to know that whatever I'm putting up there is actually something that I feel connected to. And I say, hey, love, because if you're following me, I'm hoping that you're doing so in love. And now you're not just following me just because, you're
That
keeping
one of
up
them
with me.
workers.
And I'm sure there's people out there that are doing that. But for those who are following me because of whatever they feel, if I'm motivating them, inspiring them, just to feel that connection. So that's what I'm hoping when I say, hey, love, like, hey,
Hey, love.
connected to you. Yep.
How you
It's a good
doing?
question. I don't know. I woke up one day and started saying, hey, love. That was like a couple years ago. I just woke up and started doing it. So maybe I was transitioning and didn't even know it, like in my own way.
It seems that way. Crystal also wants to know: are you going to continue to write more books? I know we touched upon that
Yes,
a little.
yes, I am going to write more books. As I stated earlier, this book was a labor of love for myself, and getting that out, it has now opened up my creativity. I do have some things in the works. I'm not at the point to say what that is. But if you're looking for a part two to that book, it's not going to happen. I did make a call a couple of weeks ago because I feel like the book needs to do what it needs to do. And I want the book to be conversation, not like a series of events that Nicole went through or Yolanda went through. Yeah, because now, like, when do I stop? Right? When do I stop? The book, because I mean, there was so much that I could have put in the book. The book could have been a big novel, but I wanted to hit the points I needed to hit. I want and the hits were the balance of everything, or me trying to balance everything and what that looked like feelings wise and emotional wise. And so I feel like I did that. And so now it's time to move on. Well, as I stated, all the characters need to move on and I need to move on.
Okay, sounds great. I definitely understand, and I could co-sign that.
Mm-hmm.
We have C that wants to ask a question. What is next for you in the creative space outside of books? That's a good question.
Outside of books. So
Mm,
right now in my creative space, writing, I am actually in the process of taking the motivational memes that you all see and creating something from that. I'm not there yet. The ideas in the works, but taking that motivational piece to a different level and having conversations about that.
that's going to be through Nicky narratives, correct?
Yes.
I think she's trying to
Yes.
fix the Wi-Fi. Yes, so yes, that's through Nicky narratives. I definitely look
Yes.
forward to that. Miss Crystal wants to know, now that you have received feedback and many sales, will there be a follow up, or will it be more on to the other topics?
Uh I'm actually taking it in a different route. Um you guys see that. I let's just say it's going to be in the opposite world. And I know you all trying to pull it out of me.
They
I'm not.
trying. They trying. I definitely know what it is, but she's people
Y'all
are
are really
definitely
trying.
trying.
I know you all are really trying. But if you've paid attention to me since I retired, I'm forever trying to do something different. And let's just say this creative space is allowing me to see other things out there as far as writing is concerned. When I put things out, let's just say you won't be surprised. I know the book that I put out was a surprise, but
Oh
when I
yes.
put out some when I put out some more projects, you all will see, and it won't be a surprise. You can, I see that. I see why Nicole did that. But more books to come, more motivational things for me, because that's the space I'm in. I'm just in a very good space, and I'm full of love and compassion, and for those who've been around me for years, you know that has not been something that I exude to the world, only to like a small portion of people, my circle of friends. And so I'm in such a good place. I just want to just pour out to everybody. I'm
That's
just love.
yes. Our cousin Fairlene says love too. Doris wants to know your book sounds interested. Where can I purchase your book?
Great question. So uh, it's on my website, www.nickynarratives.com. The end of this month, I will be moving the books over to Amazon for purchase. But if you want an autographed copy from me, you can go to Nicky Narratives. But because I'm starting to work on other projects, uh, you'll be able to do it on Amazon at the end of this month. And, I'll put it out to those who have subscribed to my webpage. And if you're interested, I'll put it out on my social media when it moves over to Amazon. But the only books that'll be on my website will be the ones that are autographed. So if you want an autographed book and you want that, go to Nicky Narratives, www.nickynarratives.com, and then on Amazon at the end of this month. If you don't want to autograph, and that's fine too, you'll be able to purchase it there.
Tabitha, thank you, Tabitha says she loves the daily motivation. Thanks for sharing your story. I definitely enjoyed. Let everybody know where exactly they can catch everything from you. But before we do that, let me ask this one last question from Inquirer
Okay.
Rochelle. Hi, Inquirer Rochelle. If someone who never wrote a book wanted some practical advice, what would you tell them? Mm.
Just write. Whatever it is, don't structure it. Don't look at your sentence, look at the subject and the credit. Just write. Whatever it is, just write. And after that, hit me up and I will connect you to Miss Penda James, because there's no way that I could have gone on that journey without her, and all her connections, because it's just not writing the story. It's like structuring the story and getting the covers and the right people to do the covers and the right person to put the pages together. But when you are, the most practical advice that I can give, just write your story. Just write whatever it is. Just write it. Don't worry about what people may think and feel. Just write. And then after that, that's when you go to the scribe coach, and then she'll help you, or my scribe coach, she'll help you put things where they need to be, ask you questions that you probably didn't think of, pull things out of you, because there are certain subjects that, you have to have read the book. There are certain chapters where it took me almost a month to get it out, and she had to pull it out of me, right, to get those emotions and feelings so you can feel it. And when she said, "I'm feeling it, girl, I'm feeling it," that's when I knew, okay, I got it. But you need someone else. You just can't do it by yourself. But just write your story. Do not hide anything. Just put it all out there on the table, and then go back and cut some things out.
Yes, you do have the good connections, because I definitely use Bridget Brooks to help me, and
Yes.
y'all know about that down the line
Yes.
for websites. Sophia, hey Sophia, I know her friends. We sisters. How has finding this new love, or should I say, this new love finding you, changed your perspective? How are you different from single Nicole?
Sophia,
This is why I like
when I get
Sophia.
off
Sophia's
this
my girl.
live, Sophia, I got something for no.
Sophia, we love you.
Balance, someone to laugh with. I think that, being in the military, you're so much on the go. And unless you've already had a relationship that was grounded, you just don't have time to get to know people and have fun. And this relationship that I'm in now, I'm enjoying it. I mean, there has not been one day, and I'm not kidding, one day that I have not laughed and enjoyed laughter. And, I don't have the stress, maybe because I'm not working. Maybe that's not the stress of it all, but just taking it one day at a time. And I do have my moments because, having PTSD, that's work in itself. Just having a diagnosis is a lot of work, and he's very patient. And so
Mm-hmm.
having that balance kind of helps me with my growth as well. So hopefully they answered your question, Safia. Very funny.
Yeah, we do. We definitely appreciate him. He's definitely a gem, and he was needed.
Not a gym. Oh God.
Yes, he know he is. You can say what you want because I could co-sign. I could attest to the fact of the laughter because they have called me on the phone with the laughter, and it
Oh
has
yeah.
been
It's
funny.
like comedy. It's comedy every day. Every day is comedy. Something that I didn't have, but I will say it's not because of
He says, "Yeah,
anyone that it's not because it's not because of people that didn't try, but you have to be open. And
yes,
before I met him, I really did a like deep dive in my personal life, and not
mm-hmm.
I had to sit still. When people say sit still, I mean sit still and see what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy. Because if you're not happy with yourself, it doesn't matter who comes in my life or your life. You're just it's not going to work. And so
Mm-hmm. It's
because I
not
did
forced."
right,
Because
it's
that
not
relationship, I've physically been around both of them, and it doesn't feel forced. You can
yeah.
tell there's a balance there, and what's needed, and that's very important in relationships. I'm just gonna let people know.
Right.
That's
So
very important.
So bringing it back to the book, so the book kind of helped with that, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
when I met him, it was like towards the end, and I really feel like on my spiritual journey, the people that were supposed to be in my life in the times that they should be, that's what happened, right? When I was writing that book, I was in my own world. I was in solitude. I needed to be still. I needed to be in solitude. I needed to work on myself, and in that, it allowed me to, get myself in check, so to speak, right? And once I finished that, that's when I felt like the world kind of opened up. Not just a relationship, just my willingness to go do things and go places I probably never would go, and just
Take odd jobs.
yeah, just do whatever I want to do and not have that fear of judgment and just being bogged down with things. And so when he came in my life, it was just the perfect timing, to be very honest about it.
Indeed. This is gonna be the last question. Takesha, I hope I'm saying the name right. Uh,
Yes,
I
Takesha.
did. Okay, good. Because now that you're retired and have self-reflected and healed, what advice would you give a female that is on active duty who may be experiencing some of the same things you encounter while on active duty that you
Mm,
spoke of in the book? Takesha,
yes. I'm going to also
love that.
say Takesha was one of the people that was on that journey with me.
Mm-hmm.
Each chapter that I wrote, I would send it to her to see how she felt about it. So the one thing that I feel like is different, like I stated earlier, is that we are more open to talk. The unfortunate part, at least in my journey, if you are a Black or brown woman, um, we work extra hard. I'm not saying other people don't. We work
Mm-hmm.
extra hard. And telling people what is going on with us is a hindrance, right? And at
Mm-hmm.
least it was a hindrance at that time. And so, what I would do is try to find a circle of people that will listen, people that you can identify with. And I'm going to speak, even though we were retired at the time, when we had our little, we call it sister circle group, we started sharing the things that go on with us, right? And
Mm.
so that's the big picture for me. I didn't have anyone to share anything with, or I didn't feel safe to. And so I'm hoping that this book allows people to understand that in not sharing, it did hinder my growth, right? I didn't connect with people the way I needed to. Um, Career wise, maybe things would have been different because I had so much going on within myself. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you're in the military and you are going through some things, I would say it is better to let it out than keep it in. It's taken a long
Mm-hmm.
time for me to get into a healing space because I did not do that, or I didn't feel safe to do so. And I'm saying it is okay to do it. it is okay. You will find that there are other people that have been through what you've been through, know someone that has gone through it. The key is building a support group around yourself, one that you feel safe, one that will pour into you like you pour into them. So that would be my advice.
Great advice.
Thank
As
you.
our dad used to say, there's more room out than in. I'd like to thank you so much. Tell everybody where they can find you or your social media, your platforms.
Okay. On Instagram, you can find me at Nicky_narratives. On Facebook, Nicky Narratives. And if you would like to purchase the book, www.nickynarratives.com.
Oh, thank you so much. We'd like to thank iRant, Logic behind the scenes, for all his help.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Logic, because Logic is patient, because people know me. My anxiety level be on a million. Thank all our outspokens that had asked questions, who showed love, all the cousins, the family. We appreciate you all. Until next time, have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
7:30.
We now in the 21st century. Women still gotta fight for what we do with our bodies. Since the beginning of time, women been falling prey. It isn't until now we finally get equal pay. Like NBA, we played it all. Came together, Hillary a million strong. Yeah, that's right, candidate for presidency. We taking over buildings inside and outside residency. Intelligent, more than sex appeal. In front and behind major deals. 7:30, we part of it. Fem, female empowerment. Where's my middle name?
7:30.